This week, I'll be diving into the 30-issue epic by Grant Morrison. What is happening, folks? This is Alex, and in this video I'll be taking a look at the newly released Seven Soldiers Omnibus and also comparing it to the previously released single issues, trade paperbacks, and the 2-volume standard-sized hardcovers. Back in late February 2005, DC Comics kickstarted the Grant Morrison meta-series with Seven Soldiers Issue 0. This was followed up with 7 mini-series which, you have guessed it, follows each of the 7 soldiers. At the time, the 7 were considered C-list characters of the DCU, where Morrison took it upon himself to give them each a very ambitious reimagining by introducing new concepts and struggles into their backstories. The 7 soldiers are Shining Knight, the Manhattan Guardian, Zatanna, Klarion The Witchboy, Mr. Miracle, Bulleteer, and Frankenstein. The term meta-series isn't regularly thrown around, but it perfectly describes how Morrison laid out the 30-issue epic. This series is bookended with 2 specials, issues 0 and 1 with art from J.H. Williams III, but the rest were made up of 4-issue miniseries comprised of various superstar artists as follows: Simone Bianchi for Shining Knight, Cameron Stewart for Manhattan Guardian, Ryan Sook for Zatanna, Fraser Irving for Klarion The Witchboy, Pascal Ferry and Freddie Williams II for Mr. Miracle, Yannick Paquette for Bulleteer, and lastly, Doug Mahnke for Frankenstein. I also like to mention that legendary current DC writer Peter J. Tomasi was the lead editor covering the entire saga. Before diving into the various editions, I first want to cover my thoughts and some background on the overarching narrative without diving into major spoilers, but a minor disclaimer: I tend to eat up anything Morrison puts out, so there is some bias here. When this meta-series originally came out in 7 individually titled 4-issue limited series, I found it a bit unclear as to how it all fit together, as it didn't fit into the usual structure of a 6 to 12 issue miniseries with a slew of tie-ins. Initially, reading it in the suggested reading order, I found that each soldier's story to be extremely different yet engaging from the others, even though they all had the build-up to fight the common enemy, the Sheeta. If you've never heard of the Sheeta, I don't blame you. To my knowledge, they only have appeared in 7 Soldiers and the first 3 issues of JLA Classified. Not to give too much away, but they are basically a race from the very distant future where they have replaced humanity, who continually travel back in time and feed on Earth's civilizations. The Sheeta had first targeted the Justice League in JLA Classified issues 1 to 3 because it was prophesied that the Sheeta would be stopped by 7 soldiers. Obviously, the Sheeta got the wrong 7, which sets up the 30-issue story with Bulleteer, Frankenstein, Guardian, Klarion, Mr. Miracle, Shining Knight, and Zatanna all working to the common goal of defeating the Sheeta, but without ever really meeting. Overall, 7 Soldiers features extremely strong yet fairly complex writing from Morrison, which we have grown accustomed to. Now, moving on to the editions. As I briefly mentioned, there is a specific reading order when this first came out in single issues month to month. At the back of every single issue, there is a checklist which describes the intended reading order, but for some reason, my OCD kicks in and decides to group them in by the bookends, issues 0 and 1, as well as each of the mini-series when putting it in my short box. If you picked up the entire series in floppies, let me know how you have stored them in your short or long box in the comments below. For the 4-volume trade paperbacks, it is collected and ordered correctly. I believe I picked up these volumes at Borders, and the reason I double dipped and didn't wait for the hardcovers was that it actually included minor extras which can be rare for trades. Volume 1 contained an introduction by Grant Morrison, early character designs of the 7, and the rest of the 3 volumes contained a nice summary of the events recapping what happened in the book that clears up any misinterpretation I once had, as well as an extract and annotations from Morrison and Williams in Volume 4. With the 2-volume standard hardcovers, we basically get all the content from the 4-volume trade paperbacks, including new cover art that was designed for the trades. It was just the completist in me that I had to get these in addition to the trades. And now, the main reason I know why you clicked on this video, we have the newly released 7 Soldiers Omnibus that collects all 30 issues of this epic storyline. Diving right in, we can see the front of the dust jacket showcasing a tweaked version of issue 0 which was updated to be modernized. Comparing the 2 side by side, I like the design choices and minor tweaks made here. The designer also incorporated the silhouettes which we had from the standard hardcovers that was foil imprinted. Taking the dust jacket off, we get to see the amazing wraparound art from Ryan Sook, which was originally used for the 2-volume standard sized hardcovers. Moving on to the binding, like all the latest Omni releases from DC, there are no issues here with the binding being tight. Here I'm navigating through the book end to end, and you can see how well the reading experience would be in your hands. No gutter loss whatsoever, and the paper stock is as good as it has been for DC's Omni releases. For what it collects would obviously be the entire saga in the correct reading order from what I can tell when comparing to the previously collected editions. The oversized pages definitely shines here, showcasing how well tailored each artist was for their specific book. In regards to the extras, we get an introduction from Grant Morrison, the cover art from the 4-volume trade paperbacks and 2-volume standard size hardcovers, Seven Soldiers Zero second printing cover, the evolution of the 7 soldiers which shows the rough designs of the Shida and the main characters, an extract and annotations of the 7 Soldiers Part 1, and finally, pencils from the wraparound artwork from Ryan Sook, which was originally published with the 2-volume standard size hardcovers. For my final thoughts, I'm extremely happy that DC has finally released 7 Soldiers in a single oversized format, as binge reading this would lead to a much more cohesive tale and makes the bigger picture much more enjoyable to read. Personally for me, 7 Soldiers rivals Morrison's JLA run, which he showcases his talents by giving each of the 7 characters with their very own unique dynamic personality. There are a lot of writers these days where you can hear the same voice in your head, but with Morrison's writing, each stands on their own, and Morrison continues to blow my mind on how he doesn't recycle any aspect of each character's personality traits. Pure genius. I cannot recommend this book highly enough, and I suggest getting the entire saga in this single collected oversized format. Now I turn this over to you. Given what you have seen here from these 4 editions, will you be picking up this newly collected omnibus? If so, sound off in the comments below stating your reasons why. Again, many thanks for your support, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me. This is Alex, and I'll catch you in the next video.